I'll never forget the night Lucy screamed. It wasn't a normal scream, it was raw, filled with terror, the kind that makes your skin crawl. It was the kind of sound that shakes your soul. By then, we all knew something was wrong, but none of us could imagine just how deep it went. Lucy was 27, full of life and laughter. She lived in my compound in Lagos, and everyone liked her. She had this warmth about her that made people gravitate toward her. Lucy and her husband, Solomon, were a good-looking couple, and they seemed happy together. They had been married for 5 years, but there was one thing missing: children. In our community, not having children after a few years of marriage was almost like wearing a badge of shame. People would talk. They would whisper when they thought you couldn't hear. It was cruel, but it was the way things were. For Lucy, it became unbearable. I could see it in her eyes. She tried to smile through it, but the sadness was always there, lingering in the background. Solomon, on the other hand, didn't seem bothered. He always told her to ignore the gossip. He loved her, and that was enough for him. But for Lucy, it wasn't enough. She wanted a child more than anything. It wasn't just about the gossip. She felt incomplete, like a piece of her was missing. One evening, Lucy came to me looking troubled. She sat down on the bench outside my room and stared at the ground for a long time before she finally spoke. She told me she had found someone who could help, a native doctor deep in the outskirts of Lagos. She had heard about him from a woman at the market. This man, she said, had helped many women like her. They went to him barren and left with children. I didn't like the sound of it. I told her to be careful. I reminded her that not all help comes without a price. But Lucy just nodded absently, like she had already made up her mind. The next morning, she left. She didn't tell Solomon where she was going. She only said she was visiting a friend. When she came back the following day, something was different about her. She was quieter than usual, almost like she was afraid to speak. When I asked her how it went, she hesitated before saying, "He gave me something." She didn't explain further, and I didn't press her. I figured she would tell me when she was ready. But deep down, I felt uneasy. A week passed, and that's when the strange things began. Lucy told me she was having vivid dreams of children, dozens of them. But their faces were blurry, and they were crying. She said the dreams felt so real that she would wake up with tears on her face. At first, I thought it was just her mind playing tricks on her. But the dreams didn't stop. In fact, they got worse. One afternoon, she came to me looking shaken. She said she was hearing the children even when she was awake. "Can't you hear them?" she asked, her voice trembling. I told her I couldn't hear anything, but she swore they were there, crying and calling out to her. Lucy started to change after that. She became withdrawn, spending most of her time in her room. Solomon said she was always whispering to herself, but when he asked her what was wrong, she would snap at him. It wasn't like her at all. Then, one night, Solomon woke up to find her standing in the corner of their room, staring at the wall. She was holding a razor blade and mumbling something he couldn't understand. He said she kept saying, "I must feed them." We rushed into their apartment that night after hearing Solomon shouting for help. Lucy had shallow cuts on her arms, and there was blood smeared on the walls. She was sitting on the floor, rocking back and forth, saying over and over, "They're hungry." We managed to calm her down, but it was clear something was very wrong. The next day, Solomon took her to a pastor. The pastor prayed for her and anointed her with oil, but Lucy only got worse. She started losing weight rapidly, even though she was eating more than usual. Her eyes looked sunken, and her skin took on a sickly pallor. It was like the life was being drained out of her. Then came the night Lucy finally broke down. She told Solomon everything. She said the native doctor had promised her a child but warned her there would be conditions. He told her she must never speak of what she did, or the spirits would turn on her. She said he made her drink something from a calabash, a thick, bitter liquid that left her feeling dizzy and disoriented. Afterward, he told her the spirits would grant her wish, but she must follow their rules. From that night, things took a darker turn. Lucy started behaving like someone who wasn't herself. She would lock herself in the bathroom for hours, crying and scratching at her skin. Solomon said he found strange marks on her body, symbols that looked like they had been burned into her flesh. She swore she didn't know how they got there. The breaking point came one night when we heard Lucy screaming. It was around 2 a.m. Solomon and I ran into their room, but Lucy wasn't there. The window was wide open, and we found her outside, standing barefoot in the middle of the compound. She was holding her stomach and whispering, "They're coming." We managed to drag her back inside, but she was gone. Not physically, her body was there, but her mind was somewhere else. She wouldn't respond to anyone. She just sat on the floor, rocking back and forth, humming a strange lullaby. The sound was eerie, like something from another world. The next morning, Solomon decided to take her back to the native doctor. When he returned, he looked like he had aged 10 years overnight. He didn't tell us what the doctor said, but he packed their things that same day and left. We never saw them again. Months later, I heard rumors about a woman in another part of Lagos. People said she was found wandering the streets, holding a baby doll and calling it her child. They said she had strange marks on her arms and spoke of spirits. I couldn't help but think of Lucy. To this day, I don't know what really happened. All I know is that Lucy wanted a child so badly she was willing to pay any price. But some prices are too high, even for a dream. Months passed after Lucy and Solomon disappeared, but their story didn't fade. In fact, it grew into something darker, like a shadow over our compound and the neighborhood. People whispered about what had happened, and rumors spread fast. Some said Lucy had been cursed, while others blamed Solomon for not protecting her. But deep down, none of us really knew the truth. The night after they left, nobody in the compound could sleep. The eerie feeling hung heavy, as if the air itself had changed. I kept hearing Lucy's voice in my mind, her desperate whispers about feeding them, and the haunting way she said, "They are coming." Even the kids in the compound stopped playing outside. It felt like whatever had taken over Lucy hadn't fully left, as though it was still lurking, waiting for someone else to make the wrong move. About 2 weeks later, a woman from the next street claimed she saw Lucy wandering near a market in Yoba, holding what looked like a bundle wrapped in cloth. She said Lucy was talking to the bundle, cooing at it as if it were a baby. When the woman tried to approach her, Lucy suddenly turned and ran into the crowd, disappearing before anyone could follow. When I heard this, I couldn't stop thinking, was she still alive? And if she was, what kind of life was she living? Then, one day, police officers showed up at our compound. They were investigating reports of a missing person. Apparently, Solomon's family had filed a report. They hadn't heard from him in months, and nobody knew where he or Lucy had gone. The police questioned everyone in the compound. When they asked me what I knew, I tried to keep my answers vague. How could I explain the things I had seen? How could I put into words the terror I felt that night? But the questioning didn't stop there. Somehow, the police found out about the native doctor. They started digging into his activities, and what they uncovered shocked everyone. It turned out Lucy wasn't the first woman he had helped. Several women who had gone to him for children had either disappeared or gone mad. One woman had even been found dead in her home, her body covered in the same strange marks that had appeared on Lucy. The native doctor was arrested, and his trial became a spectacle. Everyone in Lagos was talking about it. The courtroom was packed every day, with people spilling out into the hallways, hoping to catch a glimpse of the man who had caused so much pain. Witnesses came forward to testify, sharing horrifying stories of rituals, threats, and unexplainable phenomena. Some women said they had been made to drink strange potions, while others claimed they had been forced to participate in rituals involving blood and fire. I went to the trial one day out of curiosity. When they brought the native doctor into the courtroom, a chill ran down my spine. He didn't look scared or remorseful. In fact, he smiled as he looked around, as though he were proud of what he had done. When asked why he had done it, he simply said, "I only gave them what they wanted." The spirits demanded their price. Despite his confidence, the evidence against him was overwhelming. He was found guilty of multiple counts of fraud, kidnapping, and manslaughter. But even after his conviction, the unease didn't go away. Many people believed that his arrest wouldn't stop the spirits he had called upon, that they would continue to haunt those who had sought his help. Back in our community, things were never the same. People became more cautious, more suspicious of each other. Women who had once been desperate for children stopped seeking out native doctors, afraid of meeting the same fate as Lucy. At night, you could still hear the whispers, stories of strange noises and sightings, of shadows moving where there shouldn't be any. As for me, I couldn't shake the guilt. Maybe if I had tried harder to stop Lucy, things would have turned out differently. Maybe if I had convinced her to talk to Solomon before going to that man, she wouldn't have felt so alone. But it was too late now. All I could do was live with the memories and hope that whatever had taken over Lucy wouldn't come back. One evening, months after the trial, I was sitting outside my room when a man approached me. He introduced himself as Solomon's cousin. He had been looking for answers, trying to piece together what had happened to his family. He asked me if I thought Lucy and Solomon were still alive. I wanted to tell him yes, but the truth was, I didn't know. As he was leaving, he said something that still haunts me. "Do you think it's over? Do you think they'll ever really let her go?" I didn't answer. I couldn't. To this day, the compound feels different, like it's holding its breath, waiting. I don't know if it's fear or just the weight of everything that happened, but the air never feels light anymore. And sometimes, late at night, when the world is quiet, I swear I can still hear Lucy's voice, whispering from the shadows.
Did you enjoy the story? If you did, please give us a like, and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to comment, let us know what you think about this story, and stay tuned for more videos. Thank you.